In my game of the week, we have 11th ranked Kentucky, who currently is 6-0 on the year, taking on Georgia, who also is 6-0, ranked the #1 team in the nation. This game is going to kick off at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS. Georgia enters this game currently as a 23.5 point favorite, which is the largest point differential that I've seen Georgia favored in over the last couple of weeks, because when they played Arkansas, I believe they were like an 18-point favorite, and then when they had played last week against Auburn, I think they were a 14.5 point favorite. They're a 23-point favorite in this game for a reason, and the reason for that is because we don't really know how well Kentucky's offense is going to perform in this game. Now, we know that Kentucky is really good when it comes to running the football with running back Chris Rodriguez, who has been one of the more underrated running backs in college football this year. 759 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, averaging 6.3 yards per carry on the season. But when you look at this Georgia defense, they have played Arkansas and they have played Auburn. And if you're a Wildcats fan, you're probably saying, okay, JT, what do Arkansas and Auburn have anything to do with us? Well, Auburn and Arkansas have two of the best rushing attacks in all of college football. And Georgia held Auburn to a whopping 46 rushing yards last week, and it held Arkansas to 75 rushing yards on the year when they played a couple of weeks ago. So this is a Georgia defense that has been phenomenal when it comes to shutting down the opposing rushing attack. So if we're looking at Kentucky, I think it's fair to say that I don't expect Kentucky to have that much success running the football on Georgia. Now, Kentucky's offensive line is really good. This is one of the best offensive lines in the SEC. However, this isn't just your normal defensive line. And a lot of people are going to say, well, JT, Georgia hasn't faced a physical team like Kentucky. And maybe you can say that's true or not true, because I think Auburn's a pretty physical team up front. I think that Arkansas is a pretty physical team up front. But I can understand if you want to say that. But however, this isn't your normal, typical style defensive line. Georgia has some X-Men on defense. I think that's the only way you can describe these monsters. Jordan Davis, once again, number 99 for Georgia, is a freak. I've never seen a defensive tackle be able to not only get off his block and get out to the edge that fast, but this guy is a monster. This guy has incredible size, athleticism. I don't know how you stop this guy if you're Kentucky. I don't know how you stop half the guys on this Georgia defense, because a lot of these guys on this Georgia defense are going to be playing on Sundays, and they're going to be high draft picks in the next upcoming years. First round, second rounders is all I see when it comes to the front seven of this defense. Like, you're looking at X-Men. Like, these guys are not human. So if you're a Wildcats fan, you have to understand what you're getting into. And it's crazy because after Kentucky pulled the upset against Florida a couple of weeks ago, after the game, you had Kentucky fans saying, we want Bama. And there was like somebody in the background saying, no, you don't want Bama. And Kentucky fans continue to say, we want Bama. Well, you get Georgia, so you have your shot of the best team in college football. And you know what they say, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And this Georgia team is playing on a different level. Now, we don't know who's going to start at quarterback, because Stetson Bennett has been starting for JT Daniels over the last couple of weeks. But JT Daniels has been coming along. Kirby Smart said that he had a pretty good throwing session last week, and it remains to be seen what happens this week, if he's able to practice or whatnot. But still, don't really know who we're going to have starting at quarterback, rather that be Stetson Bennett. I think Stetson Bennett has played fairly well. They don't really ask him to do all that much, because the running game for Georgia has been so dominant this year, and Georgia has yet to play a team that has been able to test them up front offensively. So you're looking at that Kentucky defensive line, who has been pretty good this year. Are you going to be able to challenge Georgia at the line of scrimmage on the offensive front? Now, you already know when it comes to Georgia's defense, this is the best defense in college football. They're number one in points per game allowed, only allowing 5.5 points. I think they have only allowed, 2 touchdowns on the defense side of football in their last 6 games. And when you look at their yards per game average, it's extremely low. So for Will Levis, is he going to be able to make the big throws to help Kentucky win? Now, he had a pretty good game against LSU, even though he didn't really have to do that much. He threw 3 touchdowns, 145 passing yards through the air, 14 to 17. So Will Levis, I mean, we're going to see just how good he really is, because if Kentucky is going to win this game, I doubt that is going to be through the ground. If they're going to win this game, they're going to have to beat Georgia throwing the football. Now, there have been a couple of people who have said that they don't really know how good Georgia's secondary is. They think that a lot of teams haven't really had a chance to test that secondary because nobody really has a lot of time to sit back there and throw the football when you have these Wolverines on defense for Georgia, or these X-Men. So for Kentucky, if you can give Will Levis enough time to throw the football and try to get the ball out to wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson, I definitely feel like that's going to be a big focal point. You got to find ways to get Wan'Dale Robinson involved in this game, rather that be jet sweeps, trying to get the run game somewhat established so you can try to take shots downfield to him via play action, maybe try to get some bubble screens going to him. But I really feel like you're going to have to find a way to get Wan'Dale Robinson the ball, because it does look like Chris Rodriguez is going to be in for a big game when you look at how Georgia has fared against some of the best rushing attacks in all of college football. Nobody this season yet has had success running the football against Georgia. Now, I'm not saying that Kentucky can't have success running the football against Georgia, but based on for what we've seen out of this Georgia defense over the last couple of weeks, Arkansas has one of the best rushing attacks in college football. Auburn has one of the best rushing attacks in college football, and none of those two teams were able to muster even over 100 yards rushing against Georgia. So it kind of looks like Kentucky has some low chances of, being the first to crack over 100. And if I was a betting man and you were saying, JT, I bet $100 that Kentucky would get over 100 rushing yards, I probably wouldn't make that deal. Now, for Kentucky, you also have a pretty solid defense. Now, you're 11th in points per game allowed. You're 15 in yards per game allowed. So my question is, can they somewhat limit the rushing attack of Georgia and force Stetson Bennett to have to beat you through the air? Because I don't really feel like Stetson Bennett has really had to worry about doing too much, because there hasn't really been much that he's had to do. So if you have to force Stetson Bennett to win the game for you, if you're Kentucky, I think you will be feeling pretty confident about your chances of winning this game. And Stetson Bennett is pretty solid. He has improved compared to how he performed last year. But at the end of the day, there's still a reason why JT Daniels is the starting quarterback. So if you can force Stetson Bennett to have to make some throws on 3rd and long, maybe you have the opportunity to get some stops. But if you can't stop the rushing attack, then you're probably going to be in for a long afternoon. And Kentucky allowed LSU to have 147 rushing yards to their running back Davis Price. He also had 2 touchdowns and averaged 6.7 yards per attempt, which doesn't really increase my confidence in this Kentucky Wildcats defense and their ability to stop the run, because LSU is a team that has struggled to run the football all year. They're one of the worst teams in college football when it comes to running the football, and yet they had a really good game against Kentucky. Then you look at what happened when they played Florida a couple of weeks ago. They had a pretty good time running the football. So for me, I kind of wonder if Kentucky is going to be able to limit this ground game of Georgia. And like I said last week when Georgia played Auburn, if you're able to hold Georgia to a less than 150 rushing yards on the day, I feel like that's somewhat of a victory. And also, Kentucky is probably going to have to force some turnovers if they want to win this game. They're going to have to try to find some ways to steal some extra possessions. You're probably going to have to make sure that you're able to win the special teams battle, and you can't come up empty on any any possession. Like, even if you have to kick a field goal, you better make sure that you're able to get some points on the board for Georgia, because the question that I've been asking every time I preview a Georgia game or anytime somebody plays Georgia is going to be, can they hang around to the fourth quarter? Can they keep the game close enough that they can be in striking distance come the last 6 minutes? Now, I'm not saying that Georgia is unbeatable, because like we saw with Alabama last week, any team can be beat on any given Saturday. The question is Kentucky the team that could pull it off? I don't think so. I'm going to take Georgia to win, and I think that Georgia wins comfortably. I think Georgia wins this game 34-14. It's my final score prediction in this game. I'm going with the Bulldogs.